Welcome to the Bigger True Show. I am Scott McMahon and got a really special guest today. And I'm going to let you tell your story. But this is Max with the Illinois Record. And you are an independent journalist and you've been investigating, doing very similar to the way that I started in Michigan, just looking at all of the truly crazy antics that are going on within the Illinois Republican Party. And you started connecting some of the same dots, and then that led you to find me on X. And we've talked a few times now, and it's been super enjoyable. And I think you, as the audience, are going to enjoy this conversation. What we're going to do is we're going to, so many of you have seen some of my shows with Jason Goodman, where we do kind of a half hour together, free for the public and put that on social media and stuff. And then we're going to have the rest of the conversation for subscribers only, for subscribers of Max's Substack and my own. So Max, welcome to the Bigger True Show. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much. Illinois is a very unique scenario, and everyone in a state that's like turning more blue, we're like your end game. Illinois is what I think we're even worse than California in terms of super minority in the House, super minority in the Senate, no statewide candidates. I think we lost every county-wide election last year, and I obviously believe it's by design. But it's bringing it a little back to Flynn. Is our RNC chair, who was propped up by Flynn in a miraculous way. He actually he made a really good point to me on the phone. He described it as like, imagine we're all in like a theater and like people start passing, I don't want to be too vulgar, but people are starting passing gas in the theater. Anyone that's normal is going to leave the theater. And then like a year later, all you have are just people that are like, either don't have a sense of smell or like are just so messed up they like the smell, or the ones that are, they're passing the gas themselves.
Wait, so this is Flynn's guy actually telling you this?
He did. Yeah. No, he's smart in a way. And he's not like this. He's actually very like reserved. A lot of people have called him autistic. I'm not going to say that. I'm not a doctor. But like the people that he promotes are kind of the more wild Flynn types. But Dean White's his name. He's the RNC committee chair.
Okay, so is that like our RNC committeeman? He
represents the Republican
just like
Party
every other
federally.
state.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's an RNC committee man and committee woman.
Yeah.
Right. And then every state, as far as I know, they have a committee man, committee woman, and then the state party chair is the third seat on the RNC. And
it is.
So, right.
But just Illinois, I think we're kind of back the list because we don't have any power. But like, it's kind of interesting because there are like, there was still relatively money in the last like decade. There were like, I don't like these guys, but there was like Ken Griffin, there was Bruce Rauner, they were pumping money, Jim Durkin into the party. But as Illinois has become less and less Republican, like this Dean White person, basically, like back in the day, you would need millions of dollars to be RNC committeeman. He like basically purchased that position for like 50 grand.
Wow.
Like, which is a lot of money. I'm not going to downplay 50 grand, but you should be able to buy a political party for the price of a car. And, which is in the Flynn or the Solinsky tactics, whatever you want to call it, how we got it, is like one thing that they're very smart in doing is when they have like county votes, they usually have them near holidays in like areas that are not popular or like on one end of the state. And so they had this vote for RNC chair. I think it was like Labor Day or a holiday like that. And it was like in Madison County. I think it was Granite City or Collinsville, which is like on the southeast end of the state. And so not many people are expected to show up. And what's it called? Dean White, who got credibility by bringing Flynn into town several times. That's kind of like how he got his like street cred as being a Republican, because he was never really involved. And that's kind of like how I kind of was aware of like what Flynn was doing. Is I didn't necessarily know he was head of the stake, but I saw that how a lot of candidates that came out of nowhere would bring him into town, and then they'd be like, "Oh wow, he's legitimate. He brought Michael Flynn. He's a good guy. He's a real conservative." And so that happened. And when it came time to vote, is they kind of like bust, I believe it's like 100, 200 people to the middle of nowhere of just like angry suburban warriors. And so the first vote, this Dean White person actually lost. He did not win the election. But then an acquaintance of mine came up with he wasn't part of the plot, but he's a election lawyer, and he kind of I think he gave him the idea. Where like, you can how like people filibuster in Congress? Mm-hmm. He like found out that you basically can do the same thing at the RNC and stall. And while they were stalling, they got the 200 people to just like bully, harass all the voting committee men until it flipped. And now this guy's in charge and he's a ghost. He doesn't do anything.
Well, and they've used tactics like that all over the country. Delaying is a huge tactic that they use in state conventions and even county and district conventions here in Michigan and everywhere that I've looked. They draw things out. They create a lot of distractions. They do all kinds of yelling. They create fights, even fake fights, and they'll drag a convention out to 12, 13 hours. That's how Christina Caramo got elected to Michigan state chair. The state convention lasted 12 hours. By that point, over a third of the delegates just gave up and left because they were hungry, tired, exhausted, whatever. And then she got, on the third round of voting, she got the votes that she needed.
Yeah, and I think part of the problem is like the kind of the establishment side that you were talking about earlier is
Mhm,
like their biggest problem is not it's not just ideological. It's like a lot of those people, like I call them survivalists, and they really lack
mhm,
courage. They just want to like live another day. And they've
mhm,
been through Bush, they've been through Mitt Romney, they've been through Reagan, they've been through Trump. And so they just want to live another day. And so if like 200 people are yelling at them and they're just the committeemen of Schaumburg or whatever, they're going to flip the other way. Cause like, I just want to I want my name tag. I
mhm.
want my ticket to the cocktail and cheese
Right,
dinner and a selfie with Scott Pressler or whoever. It's like,
right.
cause
Like that
yeah,
means anything, right?
no, but to them
Yeah,
it really does. It really
yeah.
does. Cause some of it is not money. Some of it really is like they just want a selfie. They just want a name tag. And a lot of them are like, when I say rhino, like I think it's really important to clearly define rhino is I mean people that like kind of put their own self-interest over any political ideology. And so
Mhm.
I've even said there are some conservative rhinos out there. It's just they're people that are like, I just want the ticket to wine and cheese dinner. I'll look the other way. I'll vote for this guy.
Right,
I'll endorse.
sure.
I'll support this bad bill.
Right. Yeah, and that's where there's so much just debauchery. It's so gross, and I see that in the Republican Party, but I'm sure the same thing. I mean, we see stories all the time, and Democrats doing the same crap. So, um, it's
Well, no,
definitely there.
I think Illinois is like I have some Illinois pride. Is we are like the birthplace of a lot of these like terrible ideas, but that are great strategies. Like you have to hand it to like the Solinskis and the Flynn's on one hand.
I would
They're
say
beatable.
effective, not good, but effective.
Good in the if you take out the Bible and you take out morality, like good in terms of like just winning. But
Effective, right? Yeah.
I don't think Flynn's goal is like we probably agree. His goal isn't to like make the Republican Party great or like win elections. It's
No,
to
I
cause
think.
chaos.
Well, and I think it's to cause Republicans to lose. I
Yeah, I
think
agree.
that. Yeah.
And so I think in my opinion is like there's a very clear link between Flynn and this RNC chairman, but also throughout the state, and I basically identified like 1 to 2 per county in all of Illinois. It's insane how many of these types of people we have of people that like possibly are directly tied to Flynn, but for sure loosely. Like they're pictured with him. They'll go to events with him. They'll interview him on their podcasts, and like they all kind of fit the same mold. They're all like
Hmm.
loud, obnoxious, wear insane MAGA gear, but like an immense amount of like work, like time and money into politics, which makes no sense because a lot of them don't actually have that much time or money. And then like a lot of them have criminal backgrounds, or we're in situations where they've had to like work with the FBI or police to snitch on violent gangs. And then like
Hmm.
4 months later, they're just like the most common thing that you see in Illinois is because Illinois does have a lot of nice areas, is you see a lot of people that dress up in like fake MAGA extremist gear. They'll go to a rich suburb and they'll call it like we're having a MAGA militia in Lake Bluff. They had it in like a rich suburb, Lake Forest, Lake Bluff. We're having a MAGA militia, or we're gonna like have a flag wave in Schaumburg, and they're all in camo and they got the like trucks and they're honking and they're picking fights with people. And really, what it is they're trying to scare the suburban people into like voting are being like, "See, I told you MSNBC and CNN were correct. They're a
That's
bunch
right.
of like loud Proud Boys, white
Yep.
nationalists, but they're wearing the things, so the Democrats are right. Even though these aren't like
Right.
real, I don't think they actually care about political issues or white nationalism or Christianity, but they wear the gear. And so
Right.
now that liberal who's upset of 100 years of bad Democrat rule is now going to vote because they're like, you know what, Democrats suck, crime is bad, but like at least they're not that guy. Like at least they're not that
Well,
guy.
this is the Jesse Smollett operation,
Yeah,
just on repeat, right? Which also happened in Chicago, right?
it did. And it's funny because
Yeah.
like I think one of the ringleaders of this, and I'm just alleging this, is this person named Terry Newsome, who like it's funny because like he would leak art. I'm IllinoisRecord.com is my blog. He would leak information to me to attack other people. So right now he says I'm paid by the Democrats and my blog's fake, but he before was giving me information to publish that was kind of good, cool information. I miss him on that level, but he what was I gonna say? He like he's like a big proponent of just like we're gonna fight. Like
Right.
we're gonna go on. We're like he like his big thing. He's like on the prowl trying to find immigrants and migrants. And I'm sure like most Republicans, we want closed borders. We're anti illegal immigrants. But like what this guy does for a living, full time, is he's the global heads of sales of a tech headhunting company, and all they do, or what they do for the most part, is they outsource jobs for big corporations to their facility in India, and then they have a facility in Monterrey, Mexico, where they bring people in for H-1B,
And
and he's out on the streets prowling, looking for immigrants to kick out. When literally, as a job, he's a headhunter for immigrants.
there's no connection there to the CCP, is there, in that company?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, because I forgot what they like. So it's GAC Consulting is the name of the company, and on
Mm.
they talk about what region their workers come from, and they don't call it the Middle East or Asia. They gave it like there's I forgot the acronym, but it's an acronym that means China, but it sounds like AAC or something like that, or
Oh,
maybe it's
really?
APAC. I think it's not the Jewish APAC, but I think it's
Right.
APAC. Yeah, they work in Africa, China, India, Mexico, and like
Well,
I'm a millennial, and like I grew up in the era where like I know people would joke to learn to code, but that was a pathway to like the American dream without having to have a college degree. And so I do think that's evil. You're basically just totally screwing my generation. And if you
mhm.
look at the numbers, is like if I want to hire an American coder for certain languages, it's like an average salary $100,000 a year, no college. If I want to hire that same programmer in India, $4,000 to $7,000.
Wow.
So they're
Yeah.
basically they're just selling out the American dream so that some big corporation can make money. But
Right.
this is the same guy that's like telling us all that we got to fight, we got to get the immigrants, and it's kind of in line with his history, because as I said, a lot of these people have a history of like working with police against violent gangs. And so this
Mhm.
person was like he actually was his job was literally to for the a Chicago outfit affiliate, and he's open about this. His job was to recruit cocaine dealers. He was a bodybuilder, and his job was to get his friends to get him into selling cocaine, which is evil. He's like, I didn't do it. I just got them to do it. And then he ends up getting arrested, of course. And it's very mysterious that he only like served, he claims to have only served two
Of
years.
course.
And this was like during
Yeah.
the drug war in the 80s. And then this is a fact because he admits it. Is he in jail? He admits to snitching on the Vice Lords, a very powerful Chicago gang. He admits to snitching on the Cali cartel, which was like the was what took over Pablo Escobar. And then he also snitched on some of his friends in the Chicago outfit. He's like, they were having sex with my wife. They deserved it. But in my mind, I'm like, how can you snitch on the Chicago outfit, the Vice Lords, and the Cali cartel, and still be alive?
Yeah. So and survive. Right.
And yeah, and it wasn't just snitch. He was like entrapping them, where he was selling. They basically FBI would give him hand grenades, and then
Yeah.
get me some customers, we'll arrest them, and that's
And
major
now
time.
he's yeah. And now he's a high level Republican
No, now
operative.
no, he then no then for here's the crazy part is then he gets out of prison, and he says he's a lifelong Democrat. He's like 62, 63 years old right now.
Mhm.
He never did any political activity at all until guess what date? Guess what the first Republican event is? I saw.
January 6th.
Correct. Correct.
Oh my gosh.
He likes to pretend like it was the year after. He likes to pretend like it was because he first got in the news when he was like, you remember when Joe Biden said if you questioned school curriculum that you were a potential domestic terrorist?
Right.
So he would
Yeah.
his first time he got in the news, he showed up to the school board meeting, and he was like carrying he brought Proud Boys, which is a great idea to bring to suburban school, and then he's carrying like a flyer of a male on male blowjob, and that's going to convince the Democrats to switch over and change the curriculum. And so
Oh my
it was very
gosh.
insightful. And so he's someone a lot of his stories are inconsistent, but so like he likes to say that's when he started. But the first documented time he ever went to a Republican rally was January 6th. I heard from his friend that he was communicating with the Proud Boys before. And here's his timeline. January 5th, he's getting cancer treatment. his friend, who I'm not even joking, is a retired Cook County sheriff. He's like, let's go to Washington. They drive from Chicago on January 5th to Washington, D.C., which is like a 12, 14, 15-hour drive. They
Hmm.
go to a hotel, and they're like, oh, we just happened to be at the same hotel as the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers. And he goes, and then he goes like, I heard that we need to bring Bufang radios, which is like a radio communication device.
Is that satellite radios?
No, it's like more the old school, like,
Okay.
yeah, satellite radios. And he said the reason why he said on his, it's on tape, is that he brought the Bofang radios to communicate with the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers because they were planning on fighting Antifa. He goes, we came there to do battle. That's his exact quote. So he says he's going to January 6th to do battle. He admits it's pictured. They call him Big Pouches because he's wearing a bulletproof vest with pouches. He has an American flag. He says he sharpened the pole of the flag. He has pepper spray. He has goggles. He says he's right behind Ray Epps. He goes past Ray Epps, and then if you want to play the clip, he's at the West Gate, and they estimate he filmed over 70 people crossing over. But he tells everyone that he went home. He wasn't there when anyone crossed. But if you play the tape, he says, "This is me filming people." You've seen them cross the
Wow.
gate committing felonies. And he one thing he accused a lot of people of being like spies, which I think is a little bit self-projecting. And there's one tweet where he said, "We know what they did to people that film." So here's someone that filmed, was associating with the two groups that got the most. Like I'm not like here to attack Proud Boys or Oath Keepers, but those are the only two
Hmm.
groups that got like the book thrown at them, that like
Yeah.
people were getting 30, 40 years. He was with them the entire time, filming them, communicating with them. No investigations, because people that were probably there, like even if they didn't get indicted, no investigations, no anything. He says his only punishment was that he got taken off a TSA pre-check. Big deal. And then he got a U.S. congressman to get him back on, which really kind of adds the whole like DOD connect. And
Right.
uh and uh and he goes like, he's like, then finally in like 2021, like before Trump was president, he goes, the FBI came to my house and I was so nervous. They knocked on my door and they're like, Terry, we knew that you were in Jan 6. And he's like, I almost had a heart attack. And they're like, don't worry, we don't care. And he's like, then why are you here? He's like, because we want you to help us fight Antifa. They're going after your speech. Have you ever heard of the FBI like caring about Antifa during the Biden years? Like how crazy
No.
does that sound? And
Yeah.
then kind of like I'm a big believer is like I'm really against the DOJ. Basically, if someone's predisposed to committing a crime or predisposed to extremist beliefs, they're allowed to entrap you. And they're
Hmm.
allowed to commit crimes as long as they write down the crimes. And I think it's estimated the federal government spends $500 million a year on informants,
Right.
probably more from the private and not for profit sector. And so like every issue that like is like extreme, he never cared about politics. He never was a political person. He goes from Jan 6 to caring about porn in schools, which Merrick Garland said was your domestic extremist, to immigration, to like all the crap that gets you on lists. And he's always filming, and he's always trying to get, and he's always kind of attracting like a lot of people that like are red flag types. Like one of his friends was a veteran that had PTSD. That was a good guy,
Hmm.
but he's the type of person they didn't want to entrap. And then
Yep.
another friend that was a veteran for 10 years that personally sends me death threats. And I'm like, I feel bad for you. You're getting trapped, buddy. Go.
Wow.
Don't have any plane
Wow.
tickets. But like he's just one example. But there's a lot of them that kind of fit that profile of either people that like, have like that there's another guy that I'm not gonna name his name because he's gonna watch this. I could name his name, but he's technically the head of
Well,
the
let's
Illinois.
let's save it for the subscriber section.
Okay, yeah, he claims he's the head of the Illinois Proud. Well, I don't even know his real name. He has a fake name, but I know his mute. He basically we've talked a bunch, and like I know his like music life. He's apparently the head of the Proud Boys, but his history was he was he says he was a white member of the Black Pea Stones, which is a very like
Okay.
intense gang in Chicago, and they do have a few white
Really?
members. And then I was basically talking about this whole situation. He goes like, well, who cares if someone snitched? I was in a situation where I had to snitch on my gang. And so these people that like go from that life, and then like 4 months
Right.
later, he goes to like a really rich suburb, and every I think Saturday or Sunday, He calls it like as I said, it's like a Trump parade or whatever, and he's just filming. He's like talking crap and filming, and I think it's total entrapment operation. And there's several
Well, and
more.
that, I mean, that is a Fed. He's not snitching like to another gang or to the press. He's snitching
It's on
to the
YouTube.
feds.
And well, the feds can just he doesn't have to even have a direct line to him. They could just look at his YouTube channel. And then there's another one
Well,
that she
hang
claimed to
on.
me.
Let's save those. Let's save them. I think we should transition over
Yeah.
to the subscriber section. And but I think that the bottom line here is that the parallels are unbelievable between what you just shared and everything that I've been reporting over the last 2 months as well, or 2 years. In Oregon, Don Powers sounds identical. Identical. Never been involved in politics before. He never even registered to vote in a presidential election before he's showing up and getting super involved. He what does he do for work? He owns a light bulb company where he gets all his light bulbs at pennies on the dollar from China. And
Yeah.
he was on a mission to take out Solomon Yu, the RNC committeeman from Oregon for 20 years, who was the biggest exposer and investigator of CCP infiltration into the right.
And
So,
I'm 33 years old, and so and I've technically been involved in politics since 2007, and like I got my
mhm,
start of just like I was always fascinated of not who donates to a candidate, but how they spend their money. So that's how I got started. It's just being a nerd and looking at how candidates spend money. But what's crazy is like it sounds like all these people like that are way older than me, like only discovered they were Republican like 6 months ago, 7 months ago,
right.
after everything,
Yep.
after all like that Terry Newsome guy. After, he said he wasn't
Yeah.
he claims according to him that he became a Republican in 2014. I'm like, that's two Obama terms, guy. Really?
Right. Right.
Really?
Right. Yep. All right. Well, so for all of you who've been watching, thanks for joining. And please go to let me pull up your
IllinoisRecord.com.
Substack.
IllinoisRecord.com. And at
All
Illinois
right.
Record is the X profile.
All right. And this is one of your more recent
No,
posts
that's
about,
an old one, but that's talking
oh
about
yeah,
the
this
King
was
County
last
Warriors
year.
for Price. Because that
Right.
whole article, by the way, is run by a lawyer, but I was kind of weirded out because like they never officially registered as a PAC. And
Mhm.
like a lot of this article is just going about of like how much cash of just like green dollar bills I saw that were like going around and were never filed. And I'm like, this is run
Wow.
by a lawyer. This doesn't make sense
Wow. Yeah.
because he's very smart. That's why I think it's kind of cosigned. Because like as I said, if you are working with the federal government, you're allowed to bend things a little bit legally as
And
long as you write it
the
down.
name, I know people from Oklahoma are going to really snicker at the name because in Oklahoma they call themselves the Action Team, and so my friends in Oklahoma call them the action figures. They all like they see themselves as these like superhero types
Oh yeah, they're more.
that are going to
I don't
save the
even like the
world.
word patriot anymore. And I'm not saying I don't like. I'm saying that like these people ruin the words of patriot and
Yes, they do.
warrior. It's a shame.
Yep. Yep. And they're trying to do the same thing with Christianity. That's what Christian nationalism
It's
is.
absolutely disgusting. It's a
It
major
is.
violation.
All right. Well, we're going to take a break while we switch over. And so you can go to IllinoisRecord.com and subscribe
IllinoisRecord.com.
there.
Yeah, please
Or
subscribe.
Bigger
We're
Truth.
coming back. We're coming back hard.
Good. And BiggerTruthMedia.com is my Substack, of course. And so we will see you over there.
Thank you so much, Scott. Thanks everyone for listening.
Yeah.